Okay, I'm going to read chapter 8 and 9 of Wayside Stories. Sideways Stories from Wayside School. Remember, to end every chapter, we give a quick, who's it about, what's happening. Chapter 7, Calvin had to bring a note to Miss Zarves with no note, with no 19th story, and no Miss Zarves. Okay, chapter 8. Be thinking of what you could say, who this is about, and what happened in chapter 8 by the time I'm done. Myron had big ears. He was elected class president. The children in Miss Jules' class expected him to be a good president. Other presidents were good speakers. Myron was even better. He was a good listener, but he had a problem. He didn't know what a class president was supposed to do, so he asked, "What am I supposed to do?" "It's a difficult job," said Mrs. Jules, "but you can do it. You must turn the lights on every morning and turn them off at the end of the day." "What?" asked Myron. As class president, you must learn to listen," said Mrs. Jules. "I'll repeat myself only one more time. You must turn the lights on every morning." "I heard you the first time," said Myron. "It just doesn't sound like much of a job." "It certainly is," said Mrs. Jules. "Without light, I can't teach, and the children can't learn. Only you can give us that light. I think it is a very important job." "I guess so," said Myron. He wasn't convinced. "Here, let me show you how to work a light switch," said Mrs. Jules. "I already know how," said Myron. "I've been turning lights on and off all my life." "Very good," said Mrs. Jules. "You'll make a fine president." Myron wanted to be the best president ever, but it was such an easy job. He thought that anybody could do it. When school let out that day, Myron stayed behind. He turned out the lights by flicking the switch down. "Excellent," said Mrs. Jules. On his way home, Myron heard a horrible noise. First, there was a loud screeching, then a sharp squeal and a roaring engine, and then a very faint sound of a girl crying. Myron ran to see what had happened. Dana was bent over in the middle of the road. "What's the matter?" asked Myron. "My dog Pugsy was hit by a car," Dana cried. "Who did it?" asked Myron. "I don't know," Dana sobbed. "They sped away." "Well, that's not important," said Myron. "We've got to try to save Pugsy." Pugsy lay unconscious in the street. Myron carefully picked her up. He carried her 2 miles to the vet. Dana cried at his side. "Don't worry, Dana," said Myron. "She'll be all right." But he wasn't really so sure. He gave Pugsy to the vet, walked Dana home, then walked home himself. Dana was so upset that she forgot to thank him. Myron didn't mind. He thought that was what being class president was all about. The next morning, before he went to school, Myron went to Dana's house. Pugsy was there. She seemed all right. Dana petted her. Pugsy licked her face. "See, Myron? She's all right," said Dana. "The vet said you brought her in just in time." "Hi, Pugsy," said Myron. He petted her. Pugsy bit his hand. "I guess she doesn't know you," said Dana. "She was unconscious yesterday when you saved her." Dana's mother put some medicine and a Band-Aid on Myron's hand, and then she drove the children to school. They were late. They ran up the stairs to Mrs. Jules' class, and the room was completely dark. "It's about time you got here, Myron," said Mrs. Jules. "We have no lights." "Why didn't somebody else just turn them on?" asked Myron. "Because you're class president," said Mrs. Jules. "Show Stephen how to work the lights. From now on, he will be class president." Myron showed Stephen how to turn on the lights, and he flicked the switch up. At the end of the day, Myron showed Stephen how to turn the lights off. He switched the light down. After a week, Stephen finally caught on. He made a good president. The lights were on every morning. Myron, who was president for only a day, was the best president in the history of Wayside School. It was just that nobody knew it. Okay, so remember that you're thinking about who is this about? And boy, titles sure help, don't they? Chapter 8. Who is it about? Myron was class president. Whoops. Oh, looks like a G. His only job was to, what would you say? Turn the lights on and off. He helped, remember the name? Pugsy, right? Helped Dana and Pugsy. So he was late. Who became the president? He had to teach Stephen, right? So Stephen became the president. Oh man, I can't believe he lost being president. Okay, I also, today for spelling, you're supposed to find some past tense words. Ooh, elect, elected, elected with an ED at the end, right? I found another one. Where did I find it? Oh, I found it way over here. Licked. If you're gonna lick something or you already did it, you licked. And that sounds like a T, right? All right, I will find some more in the next chapter. Elected, licked. So today when you're reading, find some past tense words. Okay, chapter 9. Looking for past tense words that I very lightly underlined. And then who is this about? What is it about? Look at that picture. Todd's ice cream, Joe's ice cream. It says Marissa. Chapter 9. Marissa liked ice cream. She was sweet and pretty and could beat up any boy in Mrs. Jewell's class. Wait a minute. She was sweet and pretty and could beat up any boy in Mrs. Jewell's class. Everybody liked Marissa except Kathy. But then she didn't like anybody. Marissa only liked ice cream. Every day, Marissa brought an ice cream cone to school and kept it in her desk until lunchtime. Okay, do you hear a problem? She kept the ice cream in her desk until lunchtime. At first, she brought chocolate ice cream every day, but soon she tired of chocolate ice cream, so she started bringing vanilla. But she got tired of vanilla too. Then she got tired of strawberry, fudge ripple, butter pecan, pistachio, and burgundy cherry, in that order. And then a terrible thing happened. Marissa got tired of ice cream. By that time, her desk was a mess, and everything in it was sticky. Everybody liked Marissa, but Marissa didn't like anything. Mrs. Jewls hated to see Marissa unhappy. I don't understand it, Mrs. Jewls, cried Marissa. There aren't any good flavors anymore. So Mrs. Jewls worked all night. The next day, she brought in a new flavor of ice cream for Marissa. It was Marissa flavored ice cream. Everybody will like it, thought Mrs. Jewls, because everybody likes Marissa. Here you are, Marissa, said Mrs. Jewls. Marissa flavored ice cream. Everybody gathered around as Marissa tasted it. They hoped she'd like it. Marissa took a lick. Well, said Mrs. Jewls. Marissa took another lick. Well, asked the class. This ice cream has no taste, said Marissa. It doesn't taste bad, but it doesn't taste good. It doesn't taste like anything at all. Mrs. Jewls was heartbroken. Here, let me try it, said Todd. He tasted it. You're crazy, Marissa, he said. This is the best tasting ice cream I've ever eaten. Try some, Dee Dee. It's delicious, said Dee Dee. It's so sweet and creamy. She passed it around the room. Oh, it is so good, said Leslie. I think it tastes terrible, said Kathy. I don't understand it, said Marissa. I don't taste a thing. Mrs. Jewls slapped herself on the face. Oh boy, she slapped herself on the face. Oh, I've made a big mistake, Marissa. Of course you can't taste anything. It's Marissa flavored ice cream. It's the same taste you'll always taste when you're not tasting anything at all. Wait a minute, I gotta say that again. It's Marissa flavored ice cream. It's the same taste you always taste when you're not tasting anything at all. So the next day, Mrs. Jewls brought in Joe flavored ice cream. Marissa liked it. So did everybody else. Joe thought it had no taste. Everybody liked Marissa. Marissa only liked Joe. The following day, Mrs. Jewls brought in Ron flavored ice cream. Ron thought it had no taste, but everybody else loved it. Everybody liked Marissa. Marissa only liked Joe and Ron. By the end of the month, Mrs. Jewls had brought in 27 new flavors of ice cream, one for each member of the class. Everybody liked Marissa, and Marissa liked everybody. They all tasted so good. All except Kathy, that is. Kathy flavored ice cream tasted a little bit like old bologna. Yuck. Everyone still agreed that Marissa flavored ice cream was the best, except Marissa. She liked Todd ice cream the best. This turned out to be a problem. Every once in a while, Marissa would try to take a bite out of Todd's arm in order to get that very special flavor. Oh boy. How in the world did she get those flavors? All right, stopping at the end of chapter 9. What is it about? What is it about? What would you say? Marissa got tired of ice cream. Mrs. Jewls made 27 different flavors of her children. She liked ice cream again, maybe? Okay, remember, your job is to find some past tense words. And I was lightly underlining it. I'm going to go back and erase them afterwards. Liked, sounds like a T ending, right? Ooh, they gathered. Let's see, right there, if you gathered, and then they gathered around. They hoped. Oh, that sounds like a T. Oh my goodness, Mrs. Jewls slapped her face. And I saw loved. They agreed. They tasted. Oh boy. I could keep going. Okay. Tomorrow I will read chapter 10, Paul. Take a look at that. Okay. Bye. Have a great day.